Okay, I believe we're live. All right, welcome everybody back to my messy garage. And speaking of messy, I got Paul Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop helping me out as my guest chat monitor tonight. So thank you very much, Paul, for that.
Glad to be
Appreciate
here.
it. I'm going to try to make this quick for a couple of reasons. One, it's pretty hot and humid out here. And for another, Becca Miller says, lots to do tonight, Dave, talk fast. So I'll try to make it quick, Becca. Anyway, there's just 3 or 4 things I want to try to talk about tonight. Like I said, I had emails and Facebook messages and stuff when I talked about the live stream last week where we put together the whole GarageWorX machine. And this is not going to be one of those marathon shows like that. This will be much quicker. But I had some folks that wanted me to talk about how I do the drag chain, limit homing switches, e-stop, and my touch plate. So those are kind of the things I'm going to cover tonight. And I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm trying to keep this microphone out of the way, but I think it'll. If you have trouble hearing me, let me know. I do have a couple of announcements too, or things I want to mention before we get started on the other stuff. First of all, I don't like to talk about Facebook drama. You know, there's always a lot of Facebook drama. But let me just say, the next person that messages me about Jaden K. Smith is going to get blocked. I'm so sick of getting that fake stuff. Like that stuff's not even real. And I keep getting messages. I get 2 or 3 every day. So I guess I'm going to be okay. I guess I didn't lock the screen on. Yeah, shouldn't be jumping around though. But yeah, I'm sick of hearing about Jaden K. Smith. Come on, guys, give me a break. Anyway, another thing I want to talk about is a meetup. You know, we had tried to get a meetup going for the Nashville area. That seemed to be kind of a central location for a lot of folks. And I posted the poll on the community forum, and we've got like 7 or 8 folks say, yeah, they'll go. You know, and that thing's been on there for a month or so. So as far as I'm concerned, the Nashville thing's not going to happen. If somebody around the Nashville area wants to get a meetup up, more power to you. But I can tell you, I'm not going to drive 300 miles and all that for, you know, 5, 6, 7 people. It's not going to happen. So be like Becky did, take the bull by the horns, and you know, if you want to have a meetup, set one up, get the word out. And that's how you do it. The other thing what I started to say is I'm going to get a meetup together. I'm working on the details for one. I've still got to nail down the location, although I got a pretty good idea where it's going to be. It's not going to be at like a restaurant or something. It's going to be a different kind of place. I'll probably be catering some barbecue. You know, that kind of thing. We'll have some prizes. We've got a lot of stuff that Becca sent home with me from leftover from the Texas meetup. Some stuff from FastCap, and I don't remember where else she got. I think most of it was from FastCap. So we'll have little things like that to give away, as well as there will be one for sure, maybe 2 CNCs there at this location. So you can not only come and talk CNC, but we can do some demonstrations with things. It'll be pretty cool. Plus have some great barbecue. So that's going to be Saturday, September 30th. That's all. Like I said, I don't know all the details just yet, but you want to come. It will be in my area, around the McDonough, Georgia area. So I'll have more details on that as it gets closer. But the date for sure is Saturday, September 30th. So mark your calendars if you want to come. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is I posted an old throwback picture of a plasma type table that I used to sell years ago under the old Sidewinder name. And a few people, kind of mentioned that they might like to have something like that. So I've got to place another order with my fabricator for some more GarageWorX parts anyway, because I'm starting to run out here. But I've already got a plasma option drawn up for the 4x4. I'm not going to do it for each one of the 3 sizes. It'll be just for the 4x4. But I will get a set of parts thrown in with the other stuff that I have to order, and kind of set up a prototype and stuff, and then we'll go from there. We'll see if there's any interest, and if so, then I'll order a bunch of them, and we'll have that as an option for the 4x4. Which I don't know of anybody else that does that. I think pretty much the other guys you see do a plasma ones that just do it on their own. But anyhow, let's get started talking about some of the stuff. I did have, I can't remember who it was. Somebody asked me when I was doing the assembly build last week, they asked me about cutting lead screws and stuff. And I'm not going to cut one here live because it's too loud. But I just mentioned I use a, let me just get it real quick here. This is what I use. This is a DeWalt right angle grinder with a cutoff wheel in it. I've got a real fancy fixture called the 2x4 that I use to cut them. Just got a V groove in the middle of the 2x4 with a stop block. And this is just a little sample lead screw. I've got the dumpster CNC Acme nut and a coupler on the other end. So I saved this coupler, and that's what I used to test. So after I cut it off, I just kind of take this flat file, knock the burrs off of it, and then this is the one that matters here. This is let's see if I can get this here. You see this little triangular file? Because these are 5-star lead screws, you just put it in each star and just hit it just 3 or 4 times. That's all it takes, just to clean that thing out, the thread out. And then you should be able to take this, and it should just screw right on, real easy. So I can't remember who it was that asked that, but that's probably all I need to show for that. Okay. Rory Cohen says, you have a good video on this day, which I followed and works well. I think I have talked about that before in videos. I probably talked about everything before in video. Okay, so let's get started talking about, some folks wanted to see how I do the drag chain. And by the way, all the stuff that I'm talking about or showing tonight in this live stream, there's links down below in the description of all the stuff I've bought and used. So everything you see down there, I bought it and use it, and that's why I put it down there. It's good stuff. But this is what I use. This is actually the only piece I have left. I went to order some on Amazon, and I've got some on order, but for some reason it's not available for Prime now, so it's going to be a couple of weeks before I get it. But this is the 15 by 30 millimeter. They make this in all kinds of different sizes. But I found that this works pretty good for the amount of wires and stuff I want to put through there. I'm probably going to make y'all dizzy here for a sec because I've got a couple of different cameras set up. I'm just going to grab this one off here real quick and kind of show how I've got this sitting on here. It's nothing fancy. You can probably see it right here. This is a piece of 1/2-inch birch plywood, about 1 3/4 inches wide. And I just cut a piece that just slides up under this flange on these front and rear C channels, and just drilled one hole and put a little wood screw right there. So that's all that rides on. And it's, because this is the wider stuff, I guess it rides along there real smooth. But I'll grab the camera, show you how I did the angle. Like I said, y'all hold on because you probably get dizzy here. Let's see. You know what? I may not have enough to show here. I'm going to hold this as best I can. All right. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this real good, but right here where my finger's pointing, that's nothing more than a piece of 3/4 by 3/4 aluminum angle. And I just took a piece and butted it up under this first front rail right here. And then the piece is probably, I don't know, 6 or so inches, 6 or 7 maybe. It hangs out back here. I thought I had more camera cable, but I don't. So bear with me, y'all. But anyway, then I just marked right where the other rail was going to hit, and just took again my little cutoff wheel and cut a nice little slot in that. I may be able to show you with this other camera over here. Let's see, I probably got everything all screwed up. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll fire this thing up and we'll roll it forward, and I think I can show you a little better. But it's basically just got one of those angles. Again, it's just, about a 6 or 7 inch piece of angle like this, 3/4 by 3/4. This is 1/8 angle. And I mean, there's really not much to it. Let me fire this thing up and I'll roll it forward. Do I have any questions over there, Paul? Everybody being quiet?
Yeah, everybody's being quiet. Just Becca mentioned that I'm a loud breather.
Oh, okay.
So I mute myself while you're talking so that
I didn't hear you.
Well, I got it muted, so a lot of hey Daves.
A lot of hey Daves. Now let me take a look real quick. Okay, we got Joseph Connor, Juan Lopez, Mark Lindsay, Bart Bixel, Darren Birds, Dale Ludlam. How you doing, guys? Okay, let me fire this thing up here. Oops. Guess I better turn the box on. I keep from knocking that camera over. Okay, now maybe you can get a better. If I take this camera back up, we can get a better shot of that. Okay, now you can see this much better. So I just got this angle butted up right here against the front rail. Got a notch for where the second rail comes out, and then it hangs out here, I don't know, probably a couple inches, maybe 2.5 inches. And then again, I've just got another piece of 1/2 inch birch plywood running into the other angle that's just like this one, but on the other side. Because this stuff is steel here, I drilled through holes on this angle, set it up there and kind of clamped it, and then marked the hole location here and drilled a hole and tapped that. You can see I don't even have a nut on that right there. So like I said, nothing fancy. I only have two drag chains. I just have one running parallel with the Y-axis here that will feed all of the wires. And then some of them stop right here. I've got a little terminal block under here where I've got my stepper motor. I'm going to show those in a minute. And then I've got some other wires that come out of this drag chain and go into this other drag chain that run up to the Z-axis stepper and also the limit homing switch. And here you can see how I kind of rigged the switch. Since this is HDPE and it taps real easy, I just drilled the hole, tap, put a screw in there, and you can see as I hit reference, the first thing that happens, that goes up, clicks the switch, comes back and just off of it. So that's it for the drag chain. Like I said, there's nothing really fancy about it. I will show you the terminal blocks that I like to use. And again, all this stuff is in the description. But what I do is when I'm running these wires, I've got one, you can't even see it, but it's right here on top of the Z box. And it's not a big one like this. This is one that has 12. But I have some of the smaller ones. I don't think I have a spare left that have 5. And so since you got 4 motors going to your stepper, I just cut the Molex connector off, run the wires from the stepper motor down to one side, and then the wire that's coming out of my drag chain to the other side. Makes it real easy to swap them out and stuff like that when you use these things. Also, you'll see when I show the homing switches and stuff around the back, I use a lot of that stuff back there to combine wires, especially when you're running all this stuff and it needs a ground. And, you know, you're trying to put it on a breakout board. You've only got one little hole for the ground. So you run all your grounds to one of those and put a bunch of loop things, which I have those down below, I think, too. That's these little things right here that I thought I had one of those loose too. But anyway, these things, if you buy these, they're made with the exact same spacing as these things. And if you need one and you only need like 3 of them, you can just take some snips and cut them. And then you can make a, you know, a place where you can put all your grounds and stuff like that. Yeah, Mark, not much to it. You need to get with it. It's really easy to do. And again, there's a million different ways you could probably do it. I'm just showing you the way I did it. My machines, anytime I build one of these, you got to keep in mind that mine are demo machines, so I don't make anything real permanent. You'll see when I spin this thing around, there's still a lot of wires that are just kind of hanging and stuff. It all works, and that's all I need, because if somebody comes by and wants to see this run, I need it to run. I don't worry about having everything real super tidy, because I may be taking this one down and building something else. So that's that. Okay, any other questions on the drag chain? I think it's pretty, you know, like I said, there's not much to it. I would recommend the 15 by 30. That's what, you know, when I got ready to buy some, I asked some other people what they were using, and they said this size. And it's a good size. You can get quite a few wires. I have on the Gatton CNC, which you can't see because all the laptops and stuff pile on top of it. I have a lot more wires running through this because I have my spindle going through there. I don't have I got this DeWalt 611. The electrical cord going to it is not running through there or anything. But I do have a lot more wires running through the Gatton CNC.
Mark,
If anybody wants to see that.
Mark Lindsay wants to know if you have your router cord running through that.
No, it's just, and again, I like to keep stuff where I can swap it out. You know, it's a lot of trouble to put some of that stuff through there. And like I said, mine's not really a permanent situation. It's, you know, I might decide to do a video and want to use my quarter cable 690 or something. So I'll take this whole mount off, can raise this up, slip that off, and get everything out of the way, and then put a whole different router on there without having to weed it through there. If it was, you know, my personal machine and it was going to be a permanent thing, yeah, I would do that, because that's what I've done on the Gatton here. It's so big and heavy, it's staying right there. But these are demo machines, so try to keep them easy to take down and apart. Okay, so if there's no more questions about the drag chain,
Becca was just curious if there's room in there to run the router cable if you wanted.
Yeah, you probably could.
Is that the kind of drag chain you have to fish stuff through, or do the top parts pop up?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I meant to show that. This stuff, that's one reason I like this stuff, is all of these things just pop off. So I don't even, you know, I try to fish it a little ways, but I usually just give up and end up popping all these things off. And it's just a whole lot easier to, you know, get it started, put a couple on, lay it in there, put the rest of them on. But this stuff does, I guess you can see that, all these little things right here pop off. So you can just lay it in there. Okay. Anything else? Are we done talking about drag chain? I guess so. All right, let's move on. I'll talk about my limit homing switches. I've got, well, if I hit reference home, let me actually move this, do this over a little bit. And then I'll hit reference home. You see the speed goes up, hits that switch like I talked about, and then it rolls back on the Y. I've got one switch. I don't have a switch on each side. I've got one switch running right there on the back of the Y. As soon as it makes it, it'll stop, and then the X will move over and make that switch. Now, some of this stuff for you guys that have already got these things run on your machine and stuff like that, this is probably going to get boring, because I'm going to go, you know, this is for the brand new guy who was like me when I got ready to do this and didn't know what wire to put to what. So I'm going to try to pull this out, and I may just try to spin it around. Well, maybe I'll just show with a, it's going to be kind of hard to see. What I'm using with this particular machine is I've got the Xylotex drive box, and I'm using a breakout board that's identical to this one. Now the drive box that I have does have 2 parallel ports, so I could use one like this and just plug this into the, probably the top one, because I think that would be the best place for it. And then just put all my connections here, and that would be good. And I may try this. One reason why I went with this one versus this one is because this is the one that came with the, I don't even want to mention that company's name. The company that I bought drivers and stepper motors, and this came with their kit. And out of the 4 drivers, 2 of them were bad. So I don't even know if this is going to work. I didn't even want to fool with it and maybe something not be right and me go crazy scratching my head while it's not working. I've got one very similar to this. In fact, it may be identical to this on my Gatton CNC when I did all my switches and stuff there. So I know these work good. So I went with one of these. I've got, because it has the 2 parallel connections there, I've got one of the 3-foot parallel cables. Everybody knows, you know, Jeff Bezaltech sends one of those little 3-footers. They aren't much good for anything other than maybe connecting one of these, as far as I'm concerned. I like the longer cables. So I've got a parallel cable coming out of the box, going to here, and then another one going to my UC100, which is what I'm using to drive this thing right now. No, that's another thing. I think I've got a link to those in the description. I believe so. I love those things. One of the best things made since sliced bread, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I'm going to try to talk about how I wire my homing switches. I got some homing switches right here. Instead of trying to wheel the camera around and show you all this stuff up close, I'll just hold it up in front of the camera. But this is my limit switches. These are really cheap. I think this is, I'm not sure, I believe this is exactly the same kind that Jeff on Zytotech sells. However, I get these from Amazon. They're cheap. I think I paid $8 or $9 for 6 of them, so they're a little over $1 a piece. And you only need 2 wires going to them. I meant to get a piece of this wire. This is some, I bought a roll of this. In fact, I ended up buying like 500 feet just because I couldn't find anything less or I could get it real quick. So I got 500 feet of this. They call it speaker wire. It's 18 gauge stranded wire, and it's just got 2 wires in it, the red and the black, which is perfect for running these homing switches. So you're going to put, let's see how I got mine running. So I have my ground wire connected right here, and then to this pin right here. So basically I'm not using that one that's kind of in the middle there. Then I have my other wire. So the one is coming off of this pin right here. And again, this is for you new guys that are trying to figure out, try to figure out how to do this. I crimp on the little spade. I guess it's called a spade lug thing that slides on there. So you want to get some of those. You'll also want to get some of, if you use those little terminal blocks, you want to get a bag of these forked lug things. I'm not sure what the technical thing is. But you'll crimp those on the other end of the wire. Well, actually, one of them you won't even. Well, yeah, you probably will, because you're gonna. If you're gonna have all these switches, like I've got 3 switches. I've also got my e-stop right over here, and I've got my touch plate. So I'm using 5 things on that breakout board. So what I do is I take all of the wires that are the ground, and again, like I mentioned before, I run them to a strip like this. I use those little loop things to make it where almost like a bus bar type thing. And then I run 1 wire here from the ground and put that to the ground on, which is labeled S for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it's labeled S on the breakout board. So you'll have that 1 wire coming off a bunch of them going to the S. All the other things, the other wires will go to whatever pin you want to make these things. You have available in Mach 3 for inputs, you have 10 through 13 and 15. Not 14, but 10 through 13, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 15. So for my particular case, I've got my x-axis, which is right behind here. I've got it going to pin 15. And again, folks, you can put these on really any of those you want to. You don't have to use the exact same pin I did, because I just kind of threw it in there wherever. You just have to make sure you get it right in Mach 3. And I'll go over that in a minute, and I'll try to show it on my TV here with this little camera pointing at it. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So I use 15 for the X. I've got my Y-axis going to pin 13. I've got the Z-axis using pin 12. My E-stop, which I can show how to do that too. I have that going to the number 10 pin. And my touch plate, which I haven't showed you guys yet, is going to number 11. So they're really not in any kind of special order, but it doesn't matter as long as you know which one's which, and that's what you put into Mach 3. So, any questions so far before I switch over to that other camera?
Nope, just a few people have mentioned that they ran the extension cord through the drag chain and then plugged the router into it instead of running the router cord through.
Yeah, I've seen people take just go by like a drop cord and cut the end of it off and mount them on a little outlet right there, and then take the router and just leave about 6 or 8 inches or so of cord on the router, cut it off, and then put a different plug on it where you can just plug it in. That way, no matter what you use, and you can switch them out that way. Me, like I said, mine's not a permanent situation. It's more temporary, so I just leave the cords the way they are and just run the cord out of the way. And since it's not a real big machine, that's not a big deal. Okay, so I don't see any questions about what I've got so far. So I'm going to switch the camera here. Hopefully everybody will be able to see this. Okay, there's the Mach 3 screen. And one thing you want to do, when you're wiring these up, you can always check to see if they're working by going to the diagnostic screen. And I'm going to be over here. When you won't even see my finger. You just see the arrow. But I'm using my touch screen. So you hit the diagnostic screen. And if I reach up here to the Z and pull this switch back, can y'all see that light up on the far right?
Oh, I see it now.
Can y'all see it?
Yeah, I see it now. I didn't at first.
Okay, that's it says M3 home, I believe is what that says. But all of them have a way to check them to make sure everything's working. Like right here, if I take my touch plate that I made and I've got an alligator clip, and I touch that, you'll see the green light for digitized light up. If I hit my E-stop, you'll see the red flash right there for emergency. So instead of wiring stuff up and then trying to fire it up and have it move and then find out you thought it was working but it's not, you can always check right here first to make sure you've got the stuff working before you got to move something. I don't know what else to show you as far as the, I guess I can move this back again, and if I hit reference home, we can watch the VROs and see what they do. It's running on the Y now, so that one will zero out. And then finally the X. And of course, folks, the reason you see it's all lit up green, so it's at 0. where I've told my machine to be 0, but the reason you got numbers in there is because I'm showing work coordinates right now. If I change this to machine coordinates, that now it's all 0. So that's really what it's zeroing out, the machine coordinates to 0. But I usually leave mine set to work coordinates. Any other questions on the limit switches or home? I should say homing switches. You can actually use, I was in a hangout the other day, just kind of a private hangout. We were talking about this. You can actually use the same switch for a limit switch as well. You just turn it on and use the same pin number in Mach 3. Okay, oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to show you the...
Scott Wilson has a question out there.
Okay.
I have a question. You go from Xylotech with a 3-foot cord, and then from that to the Bob, and from there to the UC100?
Right. Let me see if I can get this on camera here. I may be able to do it from back here. Well, not with it on that camera, I can't. Let me switch it back to the other camera real quick. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, that's Barry Wilson. It's listed on there as Scott Wilson, but it goes by Barry. So. Okay, let's see if because if I get behind here and hold this up, I think you can see it. Well, I don't know if I've got enough wire. Yeah, kind of stretched for wire right here. All right, can y'all see this breakout board right here?
Yeah, you can see it. You can't tell what everything is, but you can see it.
Tell you what I'll do. Let me switch cameras again, and I'll point that camera that's on that whole tripod right over here, and that should do it. So switch back to this one. Okay, I think that may be good. Okay, I think you'll be able to see it now. Okay, now you should be able to get a good shot of it. Okay, so here is my breakout board. Here's all my pins. I've got the I've got 4 of them right here. There's the limit switches, and then this white one here is also the E-stop. It's in pin 10. 15 is this green one up here. That's going to one of the, I think it was the X-axis, I think it was 15. And then I have this one black wire right here that's going to the S, which I don't know how good you can see that. But it's that first thing, it's really the ground, what I call the ground. It's going down here into one of those terminal blocks where all the other ground wires are going. So like I said, you can't get 3 or 4 wires crammed in that one little hole. You need to use a terminal block somewhere and just come off with 1 wire to put it there. So I got this is a 3-foot parallel cable right here. It's connected to this side of the breakout board. The other end of this thing goes to one of the 2 parallel connections on the back of the Xylotech drive box. Then I have another 3-foot cable that goes to the other Xylotech drive box. And this is my UC100. You can see it's all lit up. It's the green light shows it's got power. The blue light shows it's talking to it. It's got communication with it. And then, of course, this right here, the other end of this small black cable is nothing more than a USB cord that connects to this end of the UC100 and plugs into the back of the computer in a USB port. So I've got a computer under there that, even though it has a parallel connection, I don't use it. I use the USB. So, Barry, I hope that clears that up. Let me check over here, make sure anybody got any questions about that. Yeah, the DB25s are going away. I mean, you can still find the cables. I like to buy the 15 footers. I don't know if I put a link down below for those or not, but I buy them off of Amazon in 15 foot. And you want to make sure they're straight through cables too. There are some that aren't straight through, and those won't work. They need to be straight through. And when I say straight through, I mean that pin 1 on one end of it runs to pin 1 on the other, and vice versa, you know, so on and so forth. There's no crossing over and different, or not using certain pins or whatever. They're all straight through.
And those have a male on one end, a female on the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But if you go to look at if you go look on McMaster, I have ordered them from McMaster before and ordered a straight through, and they sent me one. I guess the guy picking the order didn't know what he was doing. He grabbed it and it didn't work. They're more printer type cables. They're not straight through cables. So there's a difference. You need the straight through. Okay, any other questions on how to connect the UC100?
Don't see any.
Yeah. I see Michael Chipster's talking about the Xylotex drive box, whether it's old or new. And when we say new, we're talking, you know, the new one with the double parallel port thing has been out a good while. I have, let me check to see this one on my Gatton has. Okay, I have three Xylotex drive boxes right here in this garage. Two of them, well, one of them I just bought, so it's got two. The one for this machine, the one I'm showing here, I've had it a while and it's got two. And then the one on my Gatton CNC, it just has the one, but that one's about a year and something, probably a year and 2 or 3 months old. So the new ones have been out pretty close to a year, I believe. They've been out a while. Okay, let me switch this back to the all right, I hope y'all can see this, but I'll go through again on how to set your pins.
Robert Petrie wants to know, can you connect the breakout board to the UC100 and not the second port?
Let me look. Well, let's just try that and see. Let me pull one of these off.
Well, Michael Chipser said yes, and so it must be.
Well, let me see. When I pull this off. Yeah, it looks like you could. And then you just have the two parallel cables go into the well, let me leave that hanging right there. We'll see what we get. I guess the answer is yes. To me, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. You could put both parallel cables into the breakout board, or you can put them both into the Xylotex box. I just put them to the Xylotex box simply because it's got two connections there. So, yeah. So as long as your bob has the two parallel things, like what I showed, like this one, yeah, you can do it. In fact, that's how I got it running now. It's still running, so no issues. Well, wasn't any issue. Okay, I think we're back to normal now. Yeah, I just chose to put both of the connectors into the box because the way I've got the little breakout board hanging on there, there's less weight on it if I just have one of those parallel cables. So that's
got a question in the chat. Is you have to have grounding for your vacuum?
Some people do. It really depends on if you're running your grounding close to your electronics. You don't want the static electricity to build up and pop one of your drivers or something like that. I've never run it and never had an issue, but I always make sure that my vacuum is well away from all the other stuff. Like if you're running a dust shoe and you've got your hose routed properly and got it mounted there, you'll probably be fine. But you know, if you want to do it, it's cheap to do it. It's just a little bit of wire and stuff. So go for it. What I wanted to do, I got the camera pointed back up there. I wanted to go through real quick and show you how, I showed you where the connections went on the breakout board, and now I'll show you how you put them into Mach 3. So again, this is for you newbie guys. Everybody else probably already knows this, but you come down to config, ports and pins, go to input signals. Here you can see, I guess, can y'all see that mouse on that TV up there when I move it around?
Kind of.
Okay, well, right there where I've got the arrow, there as you see, the X is pin 15. And again, you can see I've got 15 for the plus and the home. So it's actually used as the homing switch and a limit switch in the positive direction. I don't really use it. It's kind of there just because you can use it, but I never run it over that far anyway. So same thing with the Y. I'm using pin 13. It's going to be port 1, pin 13. Of course, you have to turn that green check on to activate them. The Z is set for pin 12, and I'm not using that as a limit. It's just not needed in my situation. So pin 12. Then when you come on down a little farther, you'll see the E stop down here. Again, you turn the green check on to enable it. Port 1. I'm using pin 10 for it. And then the only oddball one that you see, notice this one is called a probe. That's actually what I'm using for my touch plate. And it's the only one that has to have this active low checked. All the other ones that just had an X in it. So, but I can show you how that works. Y'all have probably seen this before, so not anything special. down fairly close. Now, when you guys, and again, I'm talking to you newbie guys. When you first make one of these touch plates, they're easy to make. This is just a piece of, oh, I'm holding it up like you can see it. I forget I'm on the subject here. It's just a piece of 1/8 angle. I think I cut it 4 inches long. I've got a wire, you know, just a screw and a wire attached there. And I have the other black wire, which is just a alligator clip. So before I switch cameras here where you can see this, I want to show you, if you switch this again to the diagnostic page, for all you newbie guys, some of these routers are different. Some of them are grounded, some of them aren't. So you need to check and make sure, like I've got the alligator clip. You can't see this, but I'll switch cameras here in just a second. I've got it clipped right to the shank or the shaft of the router bit. And then I can take this little aluminum plate and I can just bring it up and touch it to look for that digitize button to make sure it's working. And you do want to make sure it's working before you run it for the first time, because if you go hit auto tool 0 and that thing starts coming down, even though it's coming down really slow, you don't want it to keep plowing down and find out then that this thing is working. So I can check, see that that's working, and I can come over here and hit on my program run screen, hit auto tool 0, and you'll see that digitize button light up again. And I have this set to go up exactly 1 inch. Now, let me switch cameras and you can see it from the other perspective.
Now, this is a really dumb question, Dave, but you said you've got it set to go up 1 inch. Is that 1 inch from the top of the plate, or 1 inch including the 1/8 of an inch thickness of the plate?
Well, let me.
You understand? Yeah, you get what I mean.
I do. Let me run it through again. So, well, let me turn this stupid thing so you can. Now you'll be able to see it, I think. So you just hit the auto tool 0, and you'll notice the dwell button is flashing there for a sec, because there's a little bit of a dwell, I think just a few seconds. It comes down and touches that, and then it goes 1 inch. Okay, now back to your question, Paul. There's a script that you have to enter into the auto tool 0 button. I'll show you how to do that in just a second, but to answer your question, this is now exactly 1 inch off the top of this material, because in that script, I tell it what the exact thickness is of my touch plate.
Okay.
For example, my touch plate, when I take the calipers and put on it, it's exactly 0.120. So that's what you have to put in your script. And I've got a script I'll show you. It's not my script. I actually got it from Steve at Guru Brew, if y'all are familiar with his YouTube channel. I don't know whether he wrote it or somebody else wrote it. I think he probably wrote it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll show you that script and how you put that in there. But what it's doing is it's coming down and touching this plate, and it's going up 1 inch, but it's also allowing for the thickness of my plate. Because now if I come around here and hit, now I just messed that up. That's not the first time. Let me 0 this out. Tell you what, I'm gonna have to reference it home, because when I go to 0, it's gonna take off and go everywhere after switching that plug a while ago. Yeah, ask Jim Senecola, how do you know that? Sounds like some experience there, buddy. Okay, so now I got it reference back. So let's move this back over here. Okay, now run this through real quick. Okay, so I've zeroed out my X and Y, and if I take this off, the Z still says 1, but if I hit go to 0, I don't know if you can see that good enough, all of it, it's right there at the top of the material. So it's accounted for whatever thickness I tell it that plate is.
Okay.
So if you're using a piece of 1/4-inch aluminum or whatever, you need to get it dead nut, so you need to measure with calipers. And if it's 1/4 inch, that's what you need to put in the script. Now, let me switch cameras again. I know we're starting to get long here, getting up on the hour. We'll wrap this up here in just a little bit, folks. Okay, I hope you'll be able to see this good enough. But to edit that script, I mentioned you have to put a script in that Auto Tool 0. And the Auto Tool 0, if you don't know where it is, it's right here, kind of in the middle of the screen where it says Tool Information. It says Auto Tool 0. So what you do is you come up to Operator, drop that menu down, come down to Edit Button Script. And when you click that, there are certain buttons that flash. Those are the ones that you can edit. So you click on the Auto Tool 0, and here is the script that I was talking about. Again, like I said, I didn't write this. I got it from Steve at Guru Brew. I don't even know his last name for that, but Steve something. But right here, I hope you can see this. I don't know, you probably can. But,
No.
okay, but right here it says it has a 0.120, and then over in the comment it says change 060 to your plate thickness, because when I got the script, he had it at 060. So I just went and edited that 060, measured mine, it was 120, put that in. There's also like about a 4-second delay. That's why when I hit the Auto 0, you'll see the dwell light flash a couple of times, and nothing's happening. And that's good to have. I left that in there because say you hit that and you go, oh crap, I didn't put my piece under there. You still got a few seconds to go move it or get it situated under there where it needs to be. So I left that in there. I'm not in that big a hurry. So all you would do is, again, I just had the script right here in Notepad, and I just highlighted it, copied it, then went over here to
and then you just paste it in Mach 3, huh?
yeah, and then just drop it in. And then, of course, once it's there, and it works great. So that's any other questions about the touch plate?
A couple people have talked about how they made one and different touch plates.
Yeah. Like I said, you want to check using that diagnostic page. Make sure that even now, when I use one on the Gatton CNC, mine is different. I'm using that spindle, so a lot of that stuff is grounded. So I don't have to put the alligator clip. Let's see. Let me switch cameras again. Keep going back and forth here. Get a cameraman.
Mark Lindsay's talking about how he uses the triple edge finder.
Yeah, those things are great. I don't really have a need to find X and Y. That's why I only made a cheap touch plate. And these, I mean, most guys probably have something like this laying around in their shop somewhere. Or something would work. Some of the triple edge finders are a little pricey. Not that they're not worth it. I'm just saying. For the newbie guy that's already spent, you know, a bunch of money buying this machine, buying the router, buying software, buying Mach 3 or whatever, you know, sometimes you need to try to scamp, and that's a good place to do it right there because that works just so good. But what I started to say is on my Gatton CNC, that spindle is you know, it's different. So there's a bolt on the spindle mount that I can actually clip the alligator clip to, and I don't have to put it down here. So I wouldn't have to worry about forgetting to take it off, Jim Senecola. Oops, did I mention that? But anyway, that's the touch plate, a cheap, down and dirty touch plate. Easy way to find it. If you can afford a triple edge finder and all that, more power to you. But if you're just looking for a cheap way to do a touch plate, and like I said, it took me probably 5 minutes. I watched Steve's video, went and got the script, put it on a flash drive, brought it out here, and 5 minutes later, I had a touch plate working. So, yeah, I see Michael Chips that says stop using it for X and Y. I don't, you know, unless you're just really hung up on that lower left-hand corner deal or something, I don't see the big deal in finding X and Y. But there's all kinds of situations where you might need it. So, anyhow, all right, so I think we've talked about everything pretty much except for the e-stop. We talked about it a little bit. I got another one here just like the one that's bolted here. And you open this up and you'll see you got two sides on this switch. One of them is, and this stuff is cheap plastic, so I mean it works, but this is again off of Amazon. I think I've got a link in the description. It's probably, I don't even remember what it was, just a few bucks. Pretty cheap, but it works. I'm using the side that has the orange side over here, and not because it matches the machine and all that. It's just that one works the way I want it to work. The other side works the opposite way. So anyway, and these you just push in, and if anybody wants to see it in operation, might as well show that while we're at it.
Whatever you did, your audio's messing up.
It's messing up.
I don't know if you heard me, Dave, but your audio is messed up.
It's messed up now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm hardwired, so it's as good as it's going to get. I'm about to wrap this up anyway. Is it all dark clear? Can you understand me at all or what?
I couldn't understand you.
Okay. I don't know what to do. Like I said, I got nothing I can turn off to stay down with it.
Whatever happened when you walked around to the side there where your computer is.
Is it still bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Can you understand me at all? Or
Barely.
push the mic in. I haven't touched the mic. It's still everything's still connected over there. All right, I'm gonna try to explain this. All I was gonna do is show that you don't let me hear you talking. So you push the heat stop. Hit. It's busted. You can see it reset by the flash. And to get it off of, just turn that so the switch will pop back out. And of course you have to hit the
A couple people have said push your mic in and out a few times.
All right, let me pull it out.
Hey, that took care of it, what you just did.
How about now? Any good?
Yep, it's great.
It's good now?
Yep.
Okay, good time to wrap this up then. All right, like I said, you really didn't need to see much. I mean, an e-stop, it is what it is. You push it, and if you have it wired right, it stops it right now. So you just have to twist the knob, pop it back out, and then hit the reset button. And of course, depending on how it stopped, and also keep in mind, since I had my router just plugged in, it wouldn't have stopped that. That would keep running. So, you know, your workpiece may already be screwed up by the time you hit that anyway. I've always found that when, you know, on the rare few times I messed up or the machine messes up or whatever, it really doesn't matter whether you stand, you could be sitting right on top of this thing and, you know, this thing's moved so fast, it's probably already messed it up where you can't repair it. Just depends on what it is. But anyway, I guess that's going to do it for tonight. I hope everybody's got to see what they wanted to see. Trying to look at the questions. Good night, Becca. Looks like she's heading out. I don't see any other questions over there. We haven't had many questions tonight. Like I said, this is pretty, a lot of these guys that are watching, we got 55 watching now. It's about what we had a minute ago when I looked. You know, oh, Eric Gussie Banjos, I got your voicemail earlier, but I hadn't got any text message from you recently. You said something in your voicemail about a text message, so you may have some other Dave in your phone got some message. They don't know what the heck it is. So let me know what you're talking about. I'll try to help you. Okay, I guess that's it. I don't know when I'll do another one of these. Like I said, I didn't want to make these like a scheduled thing. I sure don't want to make them all like that first one where we had a long 4-hour thing, but I just want to show folks that you don't need a whole weekend or week vacation to put one of these things together. If anybody that's watched this or watching it later, I'll watch this again in the morning and probably do another index thing best I can. Like I said, this tonight was really for kind of the new guys that have never done homing switches and e-stops and touch plates and stuff like that. Drag chain's easy. I mean, I was just kind of showing folks how I did mine, but you can do it anyway. I just did a real easy thing. I had some scrap 1/2-inch plywood, and that's what I did. So anyway, what I did want to say though is I don't know if we'll do it next week, or it just depends on how many questions I get. If I got enough questions and enough stuff to show in a night, you know, to fill up 45 minutes to an hour, I don't want to get on here and do one of these for like 5 minutes or something. But I know I also had some people that want to see how I wire up my laser, the Mach 3 settings, all of that stuff. And that probably might take up, you know, better part of an hour. One of those. So I'll probably do that. I did want to mention too, somebody on Facebook, I don't remember who it was asking me, because we did that long 4-hour deal last night, and right at the end of the thing, when I got it running, it was kind of hanging on one of the lead screws, and somebody said, well, did you get it? You know, what was the problem? And after we got out of here, because I was tired, I shut it off and went into bed, come back out the next morning, and I couldn't get it to hang. But even though I couldn't get it to hang, I went ahead and put just a little bit of wherever it is, this stuff here, this white lithium grease, just a little dab on those things. Ran it back and forth a few times, and then I ran it for several hours that next day without any issues at all. So what I think it was is, when I looked back on the back part of that lead screw, on the side that was hanging, there was actually some rust on that lead screw, because the only people that would know would be the people that have been here to visit me again. They know that I have all kinds of drop lead screw from, you know, I've been making these things a long time. So I've got all kinds of drops. So when I built that machine, I didn't want to buy any lead screw. I thought, well, I can probably find enough because those are fairly short. So that's what it was. So all that lead screw has probably been sitting out for years. And one of them had a little touch of rust on it, but little white lithium grease, it's all good. Running like a top now. So all that, like I said, either next week sometime, or when, it just depends on what kind of questions I get. We'll do another one of these, and I'll show how I do my laser. We could actually run it during this, because it's not loud. You know, I'd have to wear my cool glasses. But we could run that. Yeah, short program. I have done. Yeah, most of this is old scrap stuff that I've done. Let's see. When I was playing around with it. By the way, that's one of my. Becca knows what that is. It's not the one, okay, but it's one of the samples. Anyway, all right, we're gonna wrap this up. Paul Corliss, thank you so much for helping me monitor the chat tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Anybody that wants to be a guest chat monitor, let me know. Like I said, I don't know when I'm going to do these things. Just I'll try to give notice at least, you know, a couple of 3 days ahead of time. And if anybody's got questions, like I said, I probably not seeing them in the chat because they scroll by so quick. So put them either in the comments once this video has become a video, or send them to me on Facebook or email or something like that. And as I get them and there's enough stuff to talk about to fill up 45 minutes to an hour, we'll do another one of these. So that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody. We've still got 52 watching. Thank you so much for stopping by. I can't believe when I started doing this kind of thing, I really thought there may be 10, 15, maybe 20 people. But get a good crowd here. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Paul. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you sometime soon. Good night, everybody.